Hey guys, it's Captain Forrest here, and today I've got a spicy inverse matchup to go over. Cyclops versus Bullseye. Now, before I start this video, I'd like to say a huge shout out to Phoenix for helping me with the Bullseye section. And also, let's talk coffee shop. Shout outs to all the coffee shop gang. Make sure you check out their channels. Links will be in the description for those who have a required taste for different verses, whether it's anime based or comics related, so DC and Marvel. I highly suggest checking out those channels. Also, I have a Patreon, so if you guys would like to support me on a personal level and also get some perks and get access to my scan servers, please consider joining the Patreon. So, let's get right into the meat and potatoes of things. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about Cyclops and Bullseye, and I'm going to give my verdict and explain how I see the fight panning out and who I think wins more often than not. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Starting off with Cyclops' attack potency. With the Optic Blast, should easily be around Herald tier, so multi plus. Cyclops' Optic Blast can hurt the likes of Hulk and Thor. Thor has held back countless alternate dimensions / universes, and this same Cyclops was able to hurt and contend with Thor and a clone of Thor, which was stated to be comparable to the original. And Hulk has gone toe to toe with Thor on many occasions, and both have respective wins against each other. Now in terms of physical AP, he pretty much scales to Wolverine, so multi-city block, small town or town level. So he pretty much scales to Wolverine in terms of physical AP. So moving on to speed, so pretty much scales to Wolverine as well, easily around FTL, MFTL, inaccessible and immeasurable speed, pretty much being able to react to Wolverine, who can also react to Cyclops' Optic Blast. Cyclops also has MFTL reaction speed as well. He can react to Thor, he's reacted to Herald tiers before, and also scaling off Wolverine. And the inaccessible speed, he also scales to Wolverine, and he also has his own inaccessible speed feat where he was able to walk inside the World Dome completely fine. The World Dome, literally time itself is frozen inside of it and nothing can move in it, and Phantom X, Wolverine and Cyclops were able to walk inside this realm where time itself was frozen just fine. In terms of immeasurable speed, easily, we all know the whole typical speed scaling for that, but I'll mention it regardless. So Thor himself can time travel with his raw speed alone. He can tag Silver Surfer, who can do the same, and Wolverine has been able to blitz Thor and also tag like Gladiator, and the Herald tiers scale to each other pretty closely in terms of speed. So right there you have like 4 levels of speed scaling. So let's talk about Cyclops' Optic Blast, and we'll talk about some of his gear as well. Cyclops can control the potency of his Optic Blast. Cyclops can fire it at a low frequency, a mild frequency, and a full powered version, which is a more amplified and destructive version of the Optic Blast. Cyclops can increase the radius of his Optic Blast and create a wide spread to tag multiple enemies and perform an area of effect with a full powered Optic Blast. Cyclops can use its Optic Blast as a shield to block and intercept attacks. Cyclops' Optic Blast can also disintegrate and vaporize objects, and Cyclops' Optic Blast can reach several hundred yards, so that's around 270 plus meters, so it can reach pretty far. And Cyclops' Optic Blast at full intensity can also blind his foes. And Cyclops is also demonstrated to BFR people with his Optic Blast, such as blasting the ground, causing the shockwaves to launch his opponents away, or just getting hit by an Optic Blast in general. Cyclops can also deflect objects with his Optic Blast, and another impressive thing for Cyclops is there's a noteworthy statement from Beast, as Beast notes that Cyclops is a master of the optic arts, and Jean notes that the X-Men have perfected their mutant powers. Cyclops has demonstrated a ton of remarkable accuracy feats and skill with his Optic Blast, such as ricocheting his Optic Blast to take out his foes. Cyclops can split his beams to pressure and tag multiple opponents. Cyclops skillfully disarms Thor and tags Iron Man at the same time with his optic blast. Cyclops was able to tag an airborne foe by ricocheting his shot off another person's body. Even when Magneto reflected the optic blast from Cyclops, it still tags Magneto, so he can bombard you with trick shots. Cyclops can precision his optic blast to hit things on a microscopic level, and Cyclops has used his optic blast tactically to get his foes off guard by blasting a machine behind Grotesque, which blows up and tags Grotesque. And Cyclops can use his optic blast to launch himself out of harm's way. And Cyclops can also use his optic blast as a form of telekinesis to stop objects and move them in mid-air. Cyclops is constantly improving his optic blast against moving targets per week, and he trains in the danger room in order to increase the percentage of his accuracy and his efficiency by 4%. Cyclops propels himself from the ground with his optic blast and demonstrates great control. Cyclops precisely shoots through a small crack into the ruby armor, causing it to ricochet and hit the guy wearing it, despite the fact that the ruby armor completely nullifies Cyclops' attacks. Even while drunk, Cyclops' accuracy does not get affected, and he was still able to blast a bottle in the sky with perfect pinpoint precision. And Cyclops will target vital areas with his optic blast. Cyclops can blast a hole in the ground and cause you to fall in, as he's made Juggernaut fall down into the ground, and he can also cause fissures in the ground too. And Cyclops has shown incredible acrobatic skill and impressive accuracy combined together, making him very lethal. As Cyclops gets older, the potency of his optic blast increases, and the cooldown time reduces, allowing him to recover quickly after using a full-powered optic blast. And Cyclops has demonstrated this as he uses a full-powered optic blast against a Sentinel to completely destroy and pulverize it, and he was not fatigued. And Cyclops can trick-shot his optic blast to decapitate a number of Sentinels. Cyclops has demonstrated more impressive precision feats with his optic blast, such as being able to precisely fire his optic blast through a keyhole to unlock the door. And Cyclops accurately cuts a cake with such precision that the cake remains intact and sliced evenly in the correct portions. And Cyclops also has pinpoint accuracy too. Moving on, let's talk about Cyclops' gear. Now, if Cyclops cannot physically activate his visor, Cyclops can activate a button on his glove which opens up his visor, allowing him to shoot out his optic blast. Cyclops also carries some emergency ruby quartz contact lenses in emergencies, and if Cyclops' visor is stolen, broken or compromised, Cyclops has a spare pair of ruby quartz glasses to help control and regulate his optic blast. Now moving on, Cyclops is smart, strategic, and a very tactical fighter. Cyclops is always analyzing and observing his opponent's power and capabilities, while at the same time calculating and coming up with multi-step plans and ways to defeat his opponent in combat. Cyclops has also used precognition to stay a step ahead against his opponents, and Cyclops is also trained to fight and operate off instincts alone. Jean and Wolverine have noted that Cyclops remains calm and stoic and never panics in tough situations. And Cyclops is a natural born leader. And Cyclops has demonstrated great leadership and teamwork, such as being able to dictate and give correct orders to the X-Men, allowing them to use their powers to the fullest potential and use them very efficiently. So that's going to round up Cyclops' portion. I'm going to go ahead and talk about Bullseye. So for Bullseye, in terms of AP, pretty much relative to Cyclops and Wolverine, so they both have multi-city block 2, small town level attack potency physically, and the speed pretty much scales to Wolverine and Cyclops. He's demonstrated to dodge Cyclops' optic blasts pretty consistently. So let's move on to Bullseye's powers and abilities. Now, the most unique trait for Bullseye is that Bullseye is able to turn any object he touches into a deadly weapon. The examples include the following. He's been able to decapitate a bird using a yo-yo as a child. He's easily killed a guy by spitting his tooth. Bullseye was able to knee a USB drive through someone's entire head and skull. And Bullseye was able to accurately slice and slit Deadpool's neck by flicking a straw. Bullseye has also cracked Daredevil's billy club by flicking teeth at it, and he's nearly incapacitated Daredevil with only a golf ball. He's been able to hit a guy who can teleport with 2 bullets using prediction and ricochet, and he's been able to cut a guy's finger off with a hotel business card. Bullseye's been able to get 5 perfect headshots in midair, and a pretty interesting for Bullseye, he likes to dress up a lot as different heroes to kind of trick people, as when he was dressed up as Daredevil, he was able to easily kill 3 men with just a hat, a rattle, and a pen. Bullseye perfectly shoots Spider-Man with 2 arrows despite Spider-Man's spider sense, so he can like bypass precognition, and Spider-Man has like crazy precognition with his spider sense, and he's still able to tag him. Bullseye has demonstrated to be able to kill a guy with just using a gun without having to shoot it. He literally just throws the gun at them, which is very impressive. He's also killed a man by throwing a rifle. He flicks a card hard enough that it catches up to a car and breaks through the back and front windshields, and he's ricocheted an arrow into Deadpool's head. He's also killed a woman by piercing her skull with a needle, and he's been able to kill a guy with only just a pen. And he's pierced through Daken's hand and shoulder by throwing an arrow, and he breaks the barrel of Punisher's rifle by throwing a knife, and he's also demonstrated to deflect bullets using handcuffs with perfect accuracy twice, and he's immobilized Daredevil by throwing a rope at him, and lastly, he's been able to accurately get a perfect hit on Punisher from hundreds of meters away with only an airplane as a receipt, and this is very impressive. It has also been implied that Bullseye knows all pressure points in the human body. He can master any weapon with no prior experience or training, and Bullseye's been able to tag Moon Knight in terms of accuracy, who is stated to be a master with every weapon known to mankind. And the Punisher feat that I mentioned prior is very impressive because Punisher himself is a master weapon expert, and Bullseye has been able to embarrass him, and Bullseye's been able to embarrass Gambit too. So that's going to pretty much round up all the abilities for Bullseye. I'm going to go ahead and get right into the meat and potatoes of things, and let's see who wins. So let's talk about some win cons. So Cyclops' win cons would be his optic blast, his skill, his info analysis, his tactical prowess and accuracy. Bullseye, the same thing with the accuracy, a great amazing weapon improvisation via any objects that can be used as projectiles, and any type of ready tactics up his sleeve. So how I see this fight going down, Bullseye knows what Cyclops is capable of, and Bullseye's biggest advantage is his environment, as Bullseye will resort to performing evasive maneuvers and long-ranged attacks by grabbing any object around him, such as rocks or a woman's lipstick or even his own teeth if need be, and will use his lethal accuracy to try to tag Cyclops. Cyclops will analyze Bullseye and will come up with different multiple ways to defeat him. Cyclops will counter Bullseye back with his own accuracy and fire an optic blast to neutralize the projectiles. Bullseye will try to avoid any optic blast from Cyclops, while Cyclops starts to perform optic blast spam. Bullseye knows if he goes in recklessly that an optic blast will fold him and his projectiles. Bullseye will then notice that Cyclops isn't just aimlessly firing his blasts. He's trying to pressure and overwhelm Bullseye, to which would lead Bullseye to turn tail and run into a store. Cyclops will chase him down and enter cautiously, but you see, inside an enclosed area filled with objects, for Bullseye, this is his playground. Bullseye will rat and pop out throwing objects at Cyclops. Cyclops will neutralize them, but will get off guarded with a sneaky projectile that will tag Cyclops. This will hurt him and even annoy Cyclops. Bullseye will rise up to the opportunity to throw more objects, but Cyclops ain't no slouch. Cyclops will start to counter all of Bullseye's projectiles and bump up the potency and vaporize anything that could be used as a weapon, reducing Bullseye's options. Cyclops will then perform a widespread optic blast to weed out Bullseye out of hiding and defeat him. So overall, I give this to Cyclops, Both are masters when it comes down to accuracy. If it was just a straight up accuracy battle, they're pretty relative. And Bullseye will definitely hang in there and use whatever tactics and evasive measures in order to attempt to take the W. But the issue for Bullseye is the sheer raw power and the potency of Cyclops' optic blast and the range. Cyclops can spread out his optic blast and pressure better with it. The optic blast can simply vaporize anything that gets in Cyclops' way, including the projectiles that Bullseye uses, and Cyclops' own tactical skills and strategic prowess has helped Cyclops in many situations. If Cyclops truly wanted to just dispatch of Bullseye, he could just perform a giant area of effect and blast him away with a full powered optic blast to the point where there's nowhere for Bullseye to run away, or he could just simply cause fissures down the ground and cause Bullseye to fall down. So there are a lot of ways for Cyclops to take victory more often than not, and overall I just have to give this to Cyclops. Definitely one heck of a fight. Let me know what you guys think. Comment down below, give me your feedback, and make sure you subscribe to my channel, and of course make sure to check out the Coffee Shop gang, shoutouts to Phoenix, and check out the Patreon. Captain Forrest signing out, peace.